Commanders HQ family, welcome back. Our team is constantly looking to improve, constantly working to get sharper so we can deliver the results that fans like you deserve. And just like the Commanders themselves, we here on the channel are pushing every day to bring you the very best coverage. So before we dive into today's breaking news, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button because it really helps us grow, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a single update this season. All right, let's get into it. We are just days away from the Washington Commanders opening their 2025 campaign with a huge NFC East clash against the New York Giants. Excitement is at an all-time high. The depth chart came out, the team looks strong, but now the very first injury report has been released, and it included a name that caught all of us by surprise. And honestly, it could be a major blow for Washington's Week 1 chances. The Commanders have actually been trending in the right direction health-wise over the past month. Guys have been healing up at the right time, momentum was building, but today's injury report reminded us that the NFL season never begins without at least a little drama. Headlining the list, defensive end Dorrance Armstrong. Armstrong, who has been one of Dan Quinn's most trusted players since their days in Dallas, showed up as limited in practice with a knee issue. Now, let's not overreact too quickly. Limited can mean a lot of things. Sometimes it's precautionary, sometimes it's just easing a guy in. But with Week 1 right around the corner, a knee injury for a starting defensive end is the last thing you want to see. Armstrong is more than just a starter. He's the edge setter, the guy who keeps containment in the run game and applies that steady pressure off the edge. Without him, Washington's ability to collapse the pocket on Russell Wilson takes a serious hit. If Armstrong can't go, or if he's on a snap count, the depth chart tells us the next men up would be second-year defensive end Javonte Jean-Baptiste and veteran newcomer Jacob Martin. Von Miller could also rotate in on that side, and we know Quinn loves to slide Darren Payne around to create mismatches. But let's be real, none of those options give you the same reliability as Armstrong. Losing him, even for one game, changes the complexion of this defense. It wasn't just Armstrong on the list, though. A couple of other Commanders were noted, and their situations are worth keeping an eye on. First, wide receiver Noah Brown. He's been dealing with a knee issue since minicamp. The good news is, Brown says he's ready to go, and he has been trending upward in recent practices. But if the team limits him, the Commanders will lean on Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, and Jalen Lane as the top 3 targets. That's still a strong group, but Brown's physicality on the outside is something Jaden Daniels would love to have in his debut game. Then there's cornerback Jonathan Jones. Fans, you don't want to see his name on the report. He's the safety blanket for Marshawn Lattimore. If Jones can't go, it's Noah Igbinoghene stepping in, and suddenly your corner depth shrinks in a hurry. Washington only kept 5 corners on the active roster. That's not a lot of margin for error, especially against a Giants team that will want to test this secondary with deep shots. So while we're sweating over Armstrong's knee, don't sleep on Brown and Jones. Those situations matter too. And let's not forget, this isn't just about Washington. The Giants have injury concerns of their own. Their left tackle, Andrew Thomas, who protects Russell Wilson's blind side, has been limited in practice as he rehabs. I'll be honest, I would be shocked if Thomas plays Sunday. That would be a huge loss for New York because if you're going into a game without your best offensive lineman against this Commander's defensive front, that's trouble. So while we're sweating over Armstrong's knee, Giants fans are sweating over Thomas. Both teams are coming into Week 1 with questions, and whoever handles those setbacks better could walk away with the win. But as if the injury story wasn't enough, there's another twist in Washington right now, the Kendrick Bourne situation. The Commanders hosted veteran wide receiver Kendrick Bourne earlier this week. Given Adam Peters' connection to him and the fact that Washington only kept 5 receivers on the 53-man roster, a lot of us thought this was going to be a done deal. He visited, he left without signing, and everyone said, okay, he's weighing his options, but this looks good for Washington. Then came the twist. NFL insider Ian Rappaport reports that Bourne is sitting out this week entirely, weighing his decision between Washington and his old team, the San Francisco 49ers. That's right, the team where he started his career. So here's where things stand. Bourne is basically deciding between a depth role in Washington, where he'd play behind McLaurin and Deebo, but get to catch passes from the rising star Jaden Daniels, or a potentially bigger role in San Francisco, depending on how their depth shakes out. It's a classic career decision. Do you want more snaps Or do you want to be part of something new and exciting with a quarterback who could be the face of the league in a few years? For now, Washington waits. Peters is not the type to beg or wait around too long. If Bourne goes back to the Niners, you can bet Washington will pivot quickly to another veteran. But let's be clear, having Bourne here would be a luxury, not a necessity. This team already has weapons. This team is already dangerous. Last season, the Commanders shocked the football world. A rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels, took this team on his shoulders and carried them all the way to the NFC Championship game. Washington was 1 game away from the Super Bowl. Let that sink in. 1 game short. And now, expectations are different. The fairy tale phase is over. The league knows who the Commanders are. This isn't just a good story anymore. This is a legitimate contender. The new mission is clear. Get back to the NFC Championship, and this time, get over the hump. When you've got a franchise quarterback like Daniels, nothing feels impossible. That's why odds makers in Vegas are showing respect. According to FanDuel Sportsbook, the Commanders currently have the 8th best odds to win the Super Bowl, sitting at plus 2,000 right alongside Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. That means the experts are putting Washington in the same breath as proven elite teams. And why not? This roster is built differently now. One thing that separates great teams from almost great teams is how they respond to success. Do they stay the same, or do they double down and get even better? General Manager Adam Peters answered that question loud and clear. He went all in this offseason. First, the most important domino, locking up all-pro wide receiver Terry McLaurin to a long-term extension. It wasn't easy, it took longer than fans wanted, but it got done. Daniels gets his captain and top target back. That was non-negotiable.
Then came the fireworks. Washington traded for Laramie Tunsil, one of the best left tackles in football, to keep Daniels upright for the next several years. And in a move that sent shockwaves across the league, Peters brought in Deebo Samuel, reuniting him with Wes Welker, the coach who knows exactly how to maximize his skill set. Suddenly, Washington's offense looked loaded with weapons. And he didn't stop there. Peters rebuilt the defense with smart, calculated moves. He signed Javon Kinlaw to add strength in the trenches, brought in Von Miller as a situational pass rusher, and grabbed Jacob Martin for depth on the edge. These aren't just bodies, these are veterans who know how to win. Now let's talk about the draft. Washington didn't have a ton of picks, but Peters turned limited quantity into pure quality. At right tackle, Josh Connerly Jr. steps in as the starter from day one. Protecting your young quarterback from both sides of the line? Check. Wide receiver Jalen Lane has been turning heads all offseason. He might not be the biggest name now, but mark my words, he could be one of the breakout rookies of 2025. His speed and shiftiness brings something fresh to this offense. And then there's Trey Amos. If you watched preseason, you know this guy looks like an absolute steal. He's expected to start opposite Marshawn Lattimore, who is finally healthy again. Washington suddenly has a secondary that can compete with anyone in the league. The draft wasn't about flashy moves. It was about plugging key holes with future stars. That's how you build a sustainable contender. Of course, all of this comes back to one name, Jaden Daniels. When you have a quarterback like him, you believe every game is winnable. He has the poise, the arm talent, and the mobility to break defenses. But more importantly, he has the leadership that makes everyone around him better. Last year, as a rookie, he showed no fear. This year, as a second-year starter, he's going to play faster, see the field clearer, and attack defenses with even more confidence. That's why talking about the Super Bowl isn't crazy. It's realistic. Let's break it down. Elite QB on a rookie contract. This is when teams strike. Look at Mahomes in 2018, Burrow in 2021, even Jalen Hurts with the Philly. When the quarterback is young and cheap, you stack the roster around him. Peters has done exactly that. Weapons everywhere. McLaurin, Deebo, rookie Jalen Lane, tight end Ben Sinnott, who looks ready to take the next step. And don't forget about the running back rotation. Austin Eckler's veteran savvy paired with rookie Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt's energy. Improved protection. Adding Tunsil and Connerly gives Washington bookends on the offensive line. That's how you protect your franchise quarterback and keep drives alive. Defensive upgrades. Lattimore and Amos in the secondary. Kinlaw up front. Von Miller as the closer. This defense is ready to rebound after last year's inconsistencies. When you stack it all up, is it really shocking that Vegas has Washington in the Super Bowl conversation? Not at all. Here's the thing about the NFL. Last season doesn't carry over. Every year is a clean slate. 32 teams start with the same record, but one thing does carry over. The belief that comes when you have a quarterback like Daniels and a front office that's all in. Washington is no longer the underdog. They're no longer the surprise team. They are a legitimate contender. And with the culture Dan Quinn has installed, toughness, accountability, brotherhood, this locker room believes they can go all the way. So, what does this all mean for Week 1? The Commanders are still in a good spot. Jaden Daniels looks ready. The defense is nasty, even without Armstrong. The culture under Dan Quinn is different. Players want to fight for each other. But injuries are part of the NFL. Depth is tested early. And with the Giants limping into this matchup too, the question becomes, which roster bends more under the pressure? If Armstrong suits up and gives even 75%, Washington's defense can still dominate. If he can't, it's on the young guys to step up and prove they belong. That's what makes football special. One injury can open the door for someone else's big moment. So Commanders fans, I want to hear from you. Are you worried about Dorrance Armstrong's knee heading into Week 1? Or do you believe Dan Quinn and this defense have enough depth to handle business against the Giants no matter what? And what about Kendrick Bourne? Would you like to see him in the burgundy and gold? Or do you think this team is already set at wide receiver? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's get the conversation going because this season is about to be something special. And once again, if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button. It really helps push Commanders HQ out to more fans just like you. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a single update, and turn on notifications so you're the first to know when breaking news drops. Week 1 is almost here, and we'll be right here with you every step of the way.